Hi, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm gonna do a short review of the Death deck, the campaign deck, which was going into Champions was my favorite deck. I wanted to play Death or vampires and all those stuff, so that's why one of my favorite factions. The deck has cool card, and I wouldn't say it hasn't the best combination of cards, because I think as you want to play this, you want to be more within an engine or more of a gimmicky gameplay, and that's maybe not what you want to do in a starter deck. So you end up with a deck that's, you see that you can do stuff, but you don't really know what you can do because you feel like you're not doing all enough. So has cool cards, doesn't really function as a starter deck, I would say. But nevertheless, you have your rare champion, your Blood Vampire Queen, who's a warrior wizard. And when you do that, when this champion removes highlighted units, move one vampire unit from your discard to your hand. Some nice ability, engine-wise. And talking about engine, Hungering Vampire Lord, discard a card from your hand to gain 2 health. Discard a card. You want to work with your graveyard in this deck, in general. Not particularly in this combination of cards, but that's what I do. So there are 2 really cool champions to get, I would say. And then 2 easy but slow to get the skeleton champions. And while playing the few games I have with this one, I felt like removing cards and the sources to do that were way too few to make both of these function, because they need to remove to turn and also remove to return. So yeah, you have you need to use your 4 sources of removal really scarcely to make them actually function. So it wasn't really the best experience, playing the game. But with a few more cards and some boosters, I think it will be a really fun deck to play. And then you have your nice blessings. You have your Orb of Immortality, your specific one to the starter decks, which is a really nice one. I mean, you don't die, you gain 4 health, really good. Dormant units, not bad. I would say that's quite cool. Latents a lot, 3 turns, that's really good. And then you have gain health, damage. It works. It's not the best, but it's a cool card. And then you have your Terminal of Souls. So 4 damage, shuffle 2 cards. Okay, does stuff. Yes, needs some action to function. Super cool. I think you play this one in all decks, maybe. And Dormant, it depends on which decks you think you're gonna face against. But 3 turns of them doing nothing is probably good. Unless you have a wizardy meta or some does ability runs at you. But cool cards in general. I really like the Orb, of course, and the vampires. Let's see here what we can do. And units then, and keeping count on how many stuff they can remove units, which is my big problem with the deck. You have your Frenzied Vargeist, who is damage your opponent, remove a highlighted unit, and gain an additional action point if it was removed. So one it's pretty fast, so you can get at a creature or a unit. It could also be mostly works as you don't want to play units in this lane because I will get points and stuff like that. So it's a more defensive unit than an aggressive unit, which kind of doesn't makes you remove, but you get control of the lane. So it doesn't really help you with removal in that sense, or shouldn't at least. But the cool card, you'll probably play more of those. Damage to your opponent, just regular damage Vargeist. And then you have the Feasting Vargeist, which is I think one of the better cards. It's gain health, because you lose quite a lot of health in this deck, and then draw 2 cards. So generically a good card, I would say. Probably keep 3 of those in a deck. So you get 2 of those. Then you get your Crypt Shield Black Knights, who reduce damage and then does damage to your opponent. So it's a nice common card, and it's fitting within the deck. They have a knights that can tank up and then charge. 2 of those. You have your zombie dragon as a star drake, but like you have a lot of zombies and dragons in the undead one, so which is nice. So enters play, discard a card, and then rend. So it's a cool high damage unit, one of those. So you have vampires, and then you have your risen. You have your charging black knight. Remove a highlighted unit, damage to your opponent. So kind of like this, a fast removal, but more of a, what do I say, defensive, and you don't want to play against this creature unit. But it's a good card, would probably have more in my deck. Freakish Crypt Horrors, damage and gain health. So lower damage, but you also gain health. So those are cool, 2 of those. And then just a classical damage one, 1, 2, and 3. Scales up and gets angrier. So those are your units, and they are cool, like art-wise and thematically. But and like I mean, one more zombie dragon would probably add up, and you can also go with the more dragony build in general. That would give you like a cool deck to like explore. So I think this deck gives you many options to make a new deck, if you get what I mean. But as a starter deck concentrated, I think that's a bit too weak against like the order or destruction one who just functions, or even the chaos one. So those were the units. Let's keep the removal spells here, just to keep in count. And then we have our spells. Arcane Bolts, Mystic Shields, like all of those other decks. So it's just nice to have generic good ones. You have your Frightful Touch. So damage your opponent, and then if it doesn't have a unit, then you shuffle 2 cards back into the hand. From the hand to the deck. It's really nice. You force them to play. So this could be like, because this can play both warriors and wizard cards. So you can do some combination of forcing them to play cards and then removing them, maybe. But it's a nice, you make them do decisions they don't want to do kind of card. And it's a cool art one. Then you have your Terrified, which is a really nice spell. It can only be deployed by a vampire champion. I mean, no problem. And the spells and units are dormant. So 2-turn dormant lock. I mean, and if you have these in the middle, you place them and you can access all of your spaces. Cool card. Works with the death theme as well. 2 soul stealers. So kind of slow, but then you do rend damage and gain health. And I mean, that's okay, because you have a damage deficit that you go plus, and your opponent goes negative, so you're gaining health 8, I would say. So it's a great mid-game card. I think the spells are okay. And then we have your abilities. Then you have your Curse Strike, which basically are do 3 damage, and you may rotate highlight spells unit step back or forward. That's kind of cool, I would say, that you can also control what and which pace your opponents are going. Bloodthirst, which is super hard to get off or play, and in this deck, because you can only play by a vampire champion if this champion has removed a highlighted unit. So I mean, you have your really sparse removal sources, and this one is demanding that you have removed stuff. I mean, gain 6 health. I think that would be a good card without the condition. This one is really hard to play with a condition like that, I would say. Yeah, I mean, it removes yourself's units as well. So if you have more sources to remove units, maybe 6 health is nice, but I mean, it's a bit weird now. Get your cards back. It's a nice thematically going with your discard champion. Not really I mean, you can get your zombies card and you don't lose your much card when you discard into the zombie dragon. But I mean, in another deck, probably something you could use. Your Devours. So here you go with the 2 removal spells that are removal spells directly. So each of the decks has 2, which is nice to have control. So highlight spells or unit. That's nice. And so you have 4 sources, basically 2, and 2 conditional removal spells. And then you have your abilities as all the other decks. So in general, I would say the deck is cool. It's not good. So, but if you are planning to play more than your starter decks, I think it's totally fine to pick this up and have a great foundation for playing a lot of different vampire decks or death decks. And of course, you get your orb. You need an orb. So either if you can find a singles somewhere, or you use the campaign decks as a good reason to buy it just to get the orb. Yeah, so okay deck, I would say. But I will looking forward to exploring an exploration and like finding like the zombie reanimate deck. I think that's gonna be the future. Play card from your discard pile and use them in your discard pile and like go back like that. So recursion. Yeah, thanks for watching. Have a nice day.